is TED, which is for the government and technology. And there's also information from other websites, and I'm not going to read them here. And then finally I get to table 2, where I give a sample daily or weekly lesson plan, and it uses Blackboard, and I tell them they need to make an announcement, they need to have a syllabus. A professor's bio is always great. There's the topics and reading section, so that students know exactly what they're reading from day to day or week to week. There's a professor and student forum for the female learners to interact with the professor about education-related issues. Then there's the content itself, and this one is units 1 through 5, dealing with voting and the American government structure, the 3 branches. Illustrations are suggested because on the GED examination itself, not only do they test the 3 branches and the definition of terms, but they also ask that the candidates or those that are taking the test interpret illustrations, some of the caricatures that we see in newspapers. So that, should be incorporated into their training. There's assessments, teachers' checks, and again, there's some resources. So that's kind of the map at a glance. The recommendations, I recommended that corrections not forget about the female offenders and consider expanding the use of technology. I think that it's important to have technology in the facility, and so I put that down as a recommendation. I also recommended that there's additional empirical research done on a full-blown e-learning curriculum using critical literacy, because that's something that hasn't been done. We've done research on critical literacy-based curricula in different institutions, and we've done research on some e-learning which has been defined as using computers and CDs, and in some places maybe Adobe Connect, but we've not done it using the GED. And so if we can develop a full-blown curriculum using Blackboard as a delivery mode and then evaluate it, that would be great. Will correction administrators and elective policymakers seriously consider full-blown e-learning programs behind bars like we do, in higher education today? And that's a question that I hope so, but we have to wait and see. So the last slide is what I learned. So I'll read that. This is for Professor Dixon, who drove me crazy. So I learned during the writing process that the e-learning curriculum map project was much more important than me being mad at you, Professor Dixon, for always making those corrections. But yeah, I wanted to give up, but I didn't. I stuck it out. And I think what I learned about myself is that I had to figure out how to get the ideas in my head on paper so that my audience would think it made sense. And I think that's where Professor Dixon comes in. He had to be very patient to deal with all of us in this class because none of us like to be corrected. And I think that when you have somebody that gives good feedback, not always the best feedback, I still had some issues with a couple of places, but overall really, really good feedback, then I think that the product looks good. And so I'm pretty pleased with what I've come up with. I learned that the field project is only the beginning, and now I have to put it to use. And then in the end, my final thoughts are this. Zoom in on. My final thoughts are to zoom in on this, that education is a way to break the chains of recidivism and poor community adjustment. I said it in a speech to policymakers about a decade ago when I was working around the Capitol. I said it when I was lobbying, and I say it again, and it means just as much, if not more. Thank you very much. Bye.